We're never going to have a LOHAS consumer that represents 30, 40, 50% of the U.S. That's not going to happen. It's going to remain stable at about 1 in 6, 1 in 7. That's driven from a variety of reasons, including the fact that they are early adopters, and a range of different factors there in the fact that you just can't have 50% of the population being an early adopter. So they're going to remain relatively stable. I mentioned that the unconcerns were going down. But there's a range of things happening there in terms of the trendiness of ethical consumption going up, younger consumers getting involved in the market, and the whole conventionals notion based on the new economy. I think it's important to note, however, that typically clients will take a look at a couple different segments in terms of opportunities. So when they're looking at the market and figuring out a market strategy or targeting exercise or whatever it might be, typically it might include a LOHAS consumer and a drifter. Some it might just include the middle segments and not the LOHAS consumer. So even though we're going to talk a lot about the LOHAS consumer today, and it's obviously the title of the conference, but it's also important to keep in mind that a variety of other groups are relevant also. Now you can also see across Europe and Japan, and Europe is generalized there. That is just 8 countries. That's not the entire continent there. So, but you can see different compositions in terms of the different groups. You know, the big thing that jumps out there is the number of natural lights in Japan. So again, a variety of things happening around the globe. But if you're trying to figure out if you're a LOHAS consumer, there's really 10 things that can help you figure that out. One is the fact that your workplace doesn't have recycling, so you take everything home. Secondly, your Tupperware collection consists of takeout containers, yogurt containers, and salvage jars. You've maximized the number of places to dry Ziploc bags in your kitchen. You glare at people at the store who don't have a canvas bag. You double glare at the ones who ask for things to be double bagged. You don't blink when paying $5 a pound for local heirloom tomatoes. Your conscience prevents you from jet skiing despite the fact that it looks so fun. You worry about cow flatulence. You have visions of drowning polar bears each time you adjust the thermostat. And lastly, your friends have finally stopped asking you for advice on how to be green, knowing that you will offer it soon enough. So this is just a fun way of looking at the LOHAS consumer. I think some of us definitely fit into that particular description there, but it's just a fun way to look at the particular market. Now we have a lot of data. We've collected millions of minutes of interviews from consumers around the world, and what we tried to do here, just real quick before we get into the barriers, is give you just an understanding of what some of our key insights were for 2009. One is the whole notion that we're calling reduce, reuse, recycle, incorporated. And basically, this is the whole notion that we're moving from a product-oriented society to a service-oriented society. It used to be decades ago that 1 in 3 jobs involved manufacturing sector. Now it's less than 1 in 10. There's perfect examples in here in terms of Netflix or Zipcar or all kinds of various services that used to be products. So that's one key insight to keep in mind. The second key insight is called practical green. I think we would all be remiss to say that the new economy that I referenced earlier is not having an impact on the LOHAS marketplace. But what's happening here as the market continues to mature, as volume increases, prices are coming down, consumers, however, are demanding price parity with conventional products. And we'll see that continue to happen from now into the future. The third key insight is called LOHAS 360. And how we look at the world of sustainability is a little bit different than how some others do. We include the whole role of personal health in there. We think it's, again, part of that pathway that leads consumers from organic foods into renewable energy, into hybrid transportation, and the like. So it's not only the health of the planet, it's the health of the individual. And what we've seen is that fusion has finally taken place. Last of all, we have this whole notion that 2080 becomes 80-20. Now, if you remember the segmentation model, it used to be, and I'll just use 10 years ago at Berkeley, it used to be that we were only talking to the LOHAS consumer. We were only talking to that 20% of the population. That was the only group that was really relevant. The rest of the population couldn't even describe what a green product is or what it does. Now that has fundamentally switched. Now we have 80% of the population being involved in the green market in some form or fashion. Now the other 20% is the unconcerned group. So there's been a switch. You know, it's the old 80-20 rule, and that's finally come to fruition. So here's the remaining section of the presentation here is going to focus on these particular factors. Like I talked before about barriers. There's 6 barriers that we're going to walk through, and we're going to talk through what that means in terms of what's happening within the marketplace. We'll show you some data, and then what it means to your business. The first obstacle is price. Again, we would be remiss not to address the issue of price and price premiums. And yes, if you wanted to go out and spend $25,000 and put solar panels on your entire roof of your home, that's one thing. But there's lots of other ways in which to do that. You know, whether it's through your local utility or whatever it might be. But some of the ways to look at price is to actually measure consumers' willingness to pay for products. So this is U.S. data. It's talking about the statement on the top. I care about the environment, but my purchase is mainly driven by price. Again, we can't avoid the price issue. We have 7 out of 10 consumers saying that it's a price economy. Now, if you look at the measure on the bottom, talking about the willingness to pay 20% more for environmentally friendly products, that's only 1 in 6 consumers. And that's a relatively low number. Now, what's even more shocking within these numbers here is the significant decline in LOHAS consumers' willingness to purchase products that are 20% more just between 2007 and 2008. There's been a precipitous drop. So again, those expectations, and we can look at a range of other industries that have come out with particular products that tried to charge premiums, but it just didn't work. So keeping that in mind and is a very good reference point. And then we have about 2/3 of Americans thinking that many environmentally friendly products and services are expensive. So it's getting over this notion that all products are indeed more expensive. And that's not indeed the case, as we all well know.